Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting at the Cade Museum. If you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. And as a reminder, please silence your cell phones and welcome Jeff Sims to the podium for our song and pledge.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to stick with our traditional America, or My Country 'Tis of Thee, as I call it. Gordon, if you will, please. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's bride, from every mountainside, let freedom reign. Thank you. Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. And now for our invocation, Lori Vidal.
No cheers? David, you're slack back there today. Okay, let's pray together. It is a joy. It really is to entertain our district governor today here in Gainesville. What better time to return to the core of who we are in our invocation? How do we evaluate, measure, calculate how we're doing as a club? Thank you for those who have gone before us and given just that tool for such a time as this, a four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? What a grand opportunity to hear again the core of who we are. Renew our spirit with this test. I pray in your name, that is truth. Amen.
Thank you, Lori. You may be seated. I do ask that guests and visiting Rotarians please remain standing to be introduced. We'll be bringing around a microphone for introductions.
I don't think this, there it works. There you go. It's nice to see all your bright, shiny faces again. I've missed you, and thank you for having me back. I look forward to seeing you more often.
Fellow Rotarians, I'm Margaret Combs. I have a couple of guests, one you know quite well, my daughter Dana, who's been here off and on and president of this club, and another lady who's moving to Gainesville, who we hope will be joining our club as well, Morgan Burns. Morgan is a nurse practitioner who will be opening a practice of health and longevity here in Gainesville.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I'd like to introduce our friend, Brett Buell from Gainesville Opportunity Center, where he is program director, and he's going to tell us a little something about an event that's coming up from GOC.
Greetings, everyone, from the Rotary Club of Downtown Gainesville and the Gainesville Opportunity Center. I've got some exciting news. The Rotary Kitchen at the GOC is now complete. For those of you For those of you not familiar with us, the GOC helps adults living with chronic mental illness lead more productive, fulfilling, and independent lives. We're going to be having a thank you event on January 20th for this club. It'll be a social Saturday, and we hope many of you will attend that. If you don't want to wait till January, though, we're having our open house fall festival on Friday, November 3rd from 11 to 5. Come out, hang out as long as you want. There will be good food, tours, meet some of the members, see the impact it's having on people's lives. It's just a great way to spend a fall afternoon. I want to say thank you so much to so many people in this room that have helped make this kitchen possible. Create hope in the world. It's not just words. It's what you guys are doing. Thank you very, very much.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. We're very honored to have with us our District 6970 Governor, John Tabor, and our Assistant District Governor, Diane Robar.
Welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you here with us today. And now for our first announcement, Helen Gilstrom.
Wow, what can I say? I'm just here to remind you that the deadline for the Ethics in Business Award is November 3rd. As you all are familiar, this award is given to a business that demonstrates great ethical practices here in Alachua County. The strength of it depends on the applications that we rely on all of you to give us. So please, we're looking to all of you. It's a responsibility of this group to bring forward those people that they know have ethical businesses that we want to recognize. After you make a nomination, the nominees are given to the ambassadors group at the Warrington School of Business, and they then interview each nominee. The benefit of that is the students see a business and speak with a proprietor and learn about how they do their business. It's a two-way street there. They then make a recommendation to the committee. The committee meets, the committee decides, they'll come here, they'll receive the award, and then they are recognized at the Chamber of Commerce annual dinner. So we feel like it's a broad vision. Many people have a part in it, but most of all, you all do by making your nominations. I have many, many applications with me today, so you don't have to download it, you don't have to go online, you don't have to do anything. Just see me later, I'll be happy to give you one. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. And for our next announcement, Richard Allen.
Hi, thanks. Just a quick reminder about the auction that's going to be on December 5th, the first Tuesday in December. We have a lot of new members who have joined the club in the last year and maybe have not been to one of these auctions in the past, and they're a lot of fun. We'll have tables set up all around the perimeter here, lots of silent auction items and lots of live auction items, and Ben Campen's a terrific auctioneer. It's really fun. We raise a lot of money. It's for Sustainable Cambodia. There's a match on that as well, so it will help to make for more money. And what makes it especially great as an auction is all of the auction items. So please, if anybody here knows anybody out there that might want to contribute something on the silent auction or to the live auction, please email me or Elena, or tell us after the meeting. Elena is going to be a little late to the meeting today and asked me if I would print out the little auction brochures, flyers for the tabletops, and you'll see that they're not there. Somebody forgot. So don't tell Elena. I'll send an email to everybody later that'll have an attachment with it, so you'll be able to get it. And thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. And now please welcome to the podium Melanie Shore to introduce our next craft talk.
Well, thank you very much. It is such an honor and pleasure today to introduce someone that has become a very good friend of mine. And I had the opportunity to actually interview Lauren about 4 years ago. A little background, I have the honor of serving on the Board of Trustees of North Florida HCA Hospital, and we were needing a communications director. And so our CEO, Eric Lawson, said, I would like you to help me with this. I have a little bit of a background in that. And so I did. And when Lauren walked into the room and shared with us her history and all about her experience, you may remember her from TV 20 as well. Pretty much right after she left the room, Eric and I looked at each other and said, how quickly can we get her? And so I feel the same way about how lucky we are to have her in our Rotary Club. And I don't want to steal her thunder and her ado. I'm going to let Lauren tell you about herself. But Lauren, we are so happy to have you, and you are and will be an incredible Rotarian.
Well, hello, fellow Rotarians. Thank you so much, Melanie, for all of your mentorship and support. And I'm just thrilled to call you a friend. And now, fellow Rotarian. Really excited. So I want to start today by asking you guys for a show of hands. How many of you have ever led around a 2,200-pound bull like he was a puppy dog? Anybody? I have. I grew up showing cattle and off of our 160-acre cattle ranch, Brangus Cattle Ranch in Citra, Florida. And my mama always said, Lauren, if you can do this, you can do anything. And I do feel that way today. It gives me the courage to tell you a little bit more about myself today. So the farm is a big part of my life. I grew up on that farm here in Citra, Florida. And the cattle and all of the animals have really made me who I am today. It's taught me work ethic, taught me a lot about life and death and a lot of those really important life lessons, how to care for something so innocent when it's so young. It's very important. I've been in 4-H public speaking events since I was 8 years old. So I knew that I was a good communicator. I knew I could speak. So I got into communications. And so I graduated from the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications with my degree in news broadcasting. And I went and worked for WCJB TV 20 News, our local ABC affiliate here in town. I was the Ocala bureau reporter and weekend anchor. And so I went to do a story one day with the Marion County Sheriff, and he pulled me into his office after the story. I'm the biggest goody two-shoes you've ever met in your whole life. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? And he offered me a job as the public information officer for the Marion County Sheriff's Office. I was there for about 4 years, and I saw so much. It was such a pleasure to tell the story of our local law enforcement, and also to help inform our community on what's going on and to help crime victims as well. It was extremely rewarding. And so that experience is, along with reporting, you know, I have to have a purpose in my life on giving back. And so this opportunity at North Florida opened up. I used to be a valet there in college. I ran cars. It was the best job ever. I was the only valet girl, so I made a ton of tips. But walking through the hallways there, you can tell the culture is just so incredible. I said, gosh, I'd always love to come back. And so the opportunity afforded itself, and now I'm the communications director there. I've been there for about 4 years, and I have seen our caregivers through the COVID-19 pandemic. And let me tell you, that was something that is something you can't ever see again. That was really quite incredible to see our caregivers care for our community during that time. There I am. Okay. To wrap it up, I'm so excited to be here because I feel like being part of this group is going to give me a purpose. And I can't wait to give back to our community, and even in more ways than one. And I'm just so proud to be a part of this group. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Lauren. I agree with Melanie. I think you're going to make a great Rotarian, and we look forward to working with you. And now at this time, please welcome our president, Linda Reinhardt, to the podium.
All right, I'm just going to make a couple of quick reminders. about things that are going on. First of all, Dwight had to leave early, but you see on your tables, we do have the Seafood Spectacular flyers out there that's got the ticket information. We will start selling tickets next week, so come ready, and everybody knows that's been there. That's a great fellowship, a great time, and for those of you that are new members, we hope you'll join us. Again, it's a wonderful opportunity to socialize with your fellow Rotarians. So that is on December 7th. John Thomas also could not be here today, but he wanted me to let everybody know that we are heading into board nomination times. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be putting out call for nominations for people to serve on our board and to assume the role of secretary to go through our leadership positions. So please start thinking about that, and John will have more information when he's back with us. Another reminder, this Saturday is the Pedals and Pints for Polio event that we're doing with the other clubs in the area. If you're a bike rider, we can give you the registration information. If you are not a bike rider, the event's going to culminate at Cypress and Grove at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can come and enjoy some adult beverages. There's going to be prizes and all kinds of fun fellowship. So come out, and again, the money that's raised at that event will go back towards the foundation for polio. And the last announcement that I have is we are going to be having our Pints for Perry blood drive on October 31st, Halloween. What a better time to get stuck with a needle and give some blood than on Halloween. So hopefully you guys will be able to come and participate in that event as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce or bring up our Assistant District Governor, Diane Robar, to introduce our speaker today.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. Can you hear me okay? I see you. I see you, Greg. Hey. It's just a pleasure to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces, and we're all friends anyway, but I see a lot of familiar faces. I am a past president and member of the Downtown Gainesville Club. Have a standing invitation to come visit us some Wednesday at Paramount Grill. We're all friends, so come on over. But it's my honor right now to give you a brief bio. I didn't know if he might have put stuff up about John if you didn't read it in your bulletin or your newsletter. So I'm going to read it because I didn't memorize it, but here we go. John Tabor is a member of the Rotary Club of Orange Park Sunrise since July of 2000. He served as club president during the 2017 to 2018 years. He's been twice named as Rotarian of the Year. And he's also the founding chair of the club's major fundraising event, the Tennis for Cancer Doubles Championships. He's a Paul Harris Fellow, Paul Harris Society member, and a major donor. He has served the district as assistant governor for Area 3 and as district treasurer. As district governor nominee, he chaired the Brent Williams and Al Watson Awards Committee and served as the district Auntie Houston International Convention chair. He's a graduate of the Rotary Leadership Institute and now serves as an RLI facilitator. Well, by a little tangent here, if you've not gone to any of the RLI leadership meetings, you really should put that on your calendar, that they're very much, even if you're a long-term Rotarian, it's really good. And all the newbies definitely need to go. Okay, professionally, John is a certified financial planner with ViStar Investment Services. He holds a BA in History and Economics from the Eastern Nazarene College in Quincy, Massachusetts, and an MBA from Boston College, Chestnut Hills, Maine. Massachusetts. John is also very active in the Clay County community and has served on the boards of many nonprofit organizations, as well as government advisory boards in Clay County. It's truly a pleasure to introduce him to you, and he's a wonderful district governor.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor and a privilege to be with you this afternoon. One of the great things that the district governor gets to do as part of this role is induct new members and award Paul Harris fellowships. And so as our first order of business today, we do have some folks that we want to honor with their first Paul Harris Fellows. So if I could have the following join us up here: Troy Adams, Andrew Sandy Evans, Jay Hutto, and Adam Lee. Come on up, folks. All right, so the presentation of Paul Harris Fellow recognition is the Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs. It is named for Rotary's founder, the Chicago lawyer who started our organization with 3 business associates in 1905. A world of peace and goodwill comes closer to reality today as Troy, Sandy, Jay, and Adam become Paul Harris Fellows. Their gift of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation's educational and humanitarian programs is a commitment to peace and to a better life for people that they and this club will likely never meet. It is because of gifts such as this that the Rotary Foundation can carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world: improved living conditions, increased food production, better education, wider availability of treatment and rehabilitation for the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. In becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, Troy, Sandy, Jay, and Adam, you join a remarkable company of people throughout the world. They are recognized for their devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding, a goal of Rotarians the world over, and one that they all clearly share. Troy, Sandy, Jay, and Adam, it gives me great pleasure to present you with the emblems of appreciation given to a Paul Harris Fellow, your certificate and your pin. Wear it proudly. We congratulate you and we thank you for your commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation. Paul Harris said, "He who tries to find the good in others will be rewarded, for others will surely find the good in him. Of all the earth's sad and lonesome creatures, the most helpless is he who loves not his fellow man." Please rise and join me in recognizing our newest Paul Harris Fellows. Take a picture. Thank you all. As I said, that is fabulous. And it is, you know, think about it, it's really kind of what we're all about, why we're here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the foundation. It's hard not to talk about Rotary without talking about the foundation. Those of you who are newer to Rotary understand that the Rotary Foundation is really kind of the financial arm. It's the giving arm. It's the charitable arm that allows us to do and put into action the things that we do as an organization. So it really is kind of that binding, overarching force that gives us focus to our efforts. So we're going to talk a little bit about that briefly. I do hope that you will have someone come back. November is Foundation Month. You don't have to have somebody come in November, but we have lots of folks that could come out and talk in more detail about what the Rotary Foundation is doing. So I'm going to take a little moment of personal privilege. On your table, we put out these little cards. This is what I'm told is called a QR code. And I have a little technical challenges of my own, but I have a fantastic public image team at the district. And this is a very easy way. You take a photo of this with your phone and you can subscribe to the district newsletter. It's called the Minutarian, and it generally takes you about maybe a minute or two to read it. And we put in lots of links and tell you things that are going on in the Rotary world and the district world. And that's a way to kind of stay in tune with what's going on. One little side note about that is I was at the Rotary Club of South Point in Jacksonville, and I had 2 folks, actually take it back, it was the Satellite Club. And I had 2 folks that said, "Hey, we're going we're going on the Cambodia trip. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. And I said, how'd you find out about it? They said, well, we read about it in the Minotarian. So Richard, there you go. So that's that to me, that's why we do it. It helps keep you better informed about what's going on, and it gives you kind of that broader kind of idea of the context of what we do. And we're going to talk about that briefly as well. On the other side of that is a way for you to upload your photos and your events and news and different things that your club is doing. It's a format that, again, our public image people can use to put on Facebook. We kind of watch Facebook and see things we can add to the district. And then also if we've got room and it's the right kind of an event, we may feature your club in the Minotarian each week as well. So it comes out on Sunday evenings. So I haven't had anybody, I have a lot of people subscribe. Nobody has unsubscribed, so I guess that's a good thing. And we're only what, we're not, well, I guess we're about a quarter of the way into the year. All right, so that out of the way. I need to thank Diane Robar for her assistance. She is one of 12 assistant governors around the district. One cannot do this job without the help of those folks. And Diane has been a tremendous help. That group has been with me. We're on 3 years now, and we've been working together. It's part of the leadership team, along with many other important volunteers that we have at the district. And Diane is the primary point of contact and liaison between district leadership and then your area. Area 1, by the way, as a matter of fact. And so I need to thank her and again, appreciate it. We're not done yet. We still got about what, seven months to go, something like that. Oh yeah, no, you're not done yet. And I also want to recognize and call out, it was great to see past District Governor Wes here today. I didn't see PDG John Bruner, but please tell him I missed him and look forward to seeing him again soon. Thank you for the district. You can't obviously come to Gainesville without talking about the contributions of past District Governor Brent Williams. May he rest in peace. And we actually have an award named after him. So, and that tells you how much regard he is held in at the district and really in the wider world of Rotary. So, thank you. All right, I've already mentioned Richard's name, so he doesn't get another mention. Jacob is here, and I've enjoyed getting to know Jacob. He's got a great story, as you know. He's a great addition to your club. We spent a little bit of time in Melbourne, Australia together. He saw this tie. Okay, so I got to tell you, there's a story behind the tie, right? As PDG Wes and John would know, that there's a theme tie every year. There used to be a theme jacket. Mercifully, we don't do that anymore. But Jacob saw this tie for the first time, and he said, "Oh my God, what a great tie! It goes with everything." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but when my wife saw it for the first time, she said, 'Oh my gosh, that tie doesn't go with anything.'" But that's okay. So you are privileged in that you're one of the few clubs, because you are a noon club and because Gainesville is kind of district royalty in many ways. So I put the tie on for you all today for lunch. So there you go. So that's the story behind the tie. We are going to talk about the theme a little bit before we go as well. All right, so here's what I found out about you all. Club chartered in 1918. 105 years. Congratulations. That is phenomenal. It makes you one of the older clubs, not in just District 6970, but certainly in Florida and certainly in the world of Rotary. It was interesting. I know Linda had an opportunity to sit with RI President Gordon McAnally when we were at PETS. And I deliberately brought some of the presidents from some of our older clubs. And I have to tell you, now Gordon, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gordon. I need to stop saying that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this and that. You're like, we'll get to it. But Gordon's been in Rotary about 40 years. And we went around the table, right, Linda, and said, well, I'm this club and how long you've been around, et cetera, et cetera. And so downtown Jacksonville and St. Augustine and some of these others, all these clubs that are over 100 years old. And Gordon was like, what is that all about? I said, well, Paul Harris spent a fair amount of his early career in the Jacksonville area. And I am convinced, I don't know this for sure, but I'm convinced that that legacy and that heritage comes from the work that Paul Harris did establishing Rotary in Northeast Florida. The Jacksonville Club, your large club counterpart in downtown Jacksonville, was the first club in Florida, and they are number 41 in the world. And so you have a fantastic tradition, and certainly over the years have continued to uphold that tradition, and just ready to do other great things. Here's a couple other things I found out about you. 213 members. You became a 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club in 2009. That means that at that point in time, every member of your club was a Paul Harris Fellow. So once you've achieved that distinction, you have it forever. So your name is on the wall in Evanston at headquarters. You're not 100% Paul Harris Fellow right now, but it is often something that clubs will do as a way to, to encourage contributions to the foundation, to go ahead and reestablish that again. You have 152 Paul Harris Fellows. That is phenomenal. 25 benefactors, 7 bequest society, 11 major donors. I think that might be the most of any club that I certainly have seen. You have 4 Paul Harris Society members. You have some others who probably could become Paul Harris Society members and you don't know it yet. But that means that you make a commitment to give $1,000 a year to the foundation. It's very easy to do. It's $85 a month. You put it on a credit card. Most of us can find lots of ways to waste $85 a month, and it's a great way to get yourself Paul Harris Fellow recognition on a repeating basis every year. And you get the little, I don't think I saw anybody with their Paul Harris Society dongle today, but you get some more bling. And Rotary, we're all about the pins and the bling and all that, which is fine. But it's really about what we're doing with those funds, and exemplified by the folks that were up here today. And it is a way to give to the foundation. And this is a number that I don't know if many in this room really appreciate. Your all-time giving to the Rotary Foundation in this club is $1,979,588. That is phenomenal, and you all should give yourselves a hand. Again, that's the biggest number I've seen, and no pressure, Linda, but you're not that far away from $2 million in all-time club giving. So that's good. I'm glad to hear it. I heard her say it. Okay, so that means it's real. So anyway, that takes care of some of that. So let's talk about the foundation briefly and why that is so important. The foundation. Anybody can tell me when the Rotary Foundation was founded? Anybody? Any RLI graduates here? I know Diane knows the answer, right? You better know the answer. The foundation was founded in what year? 1917. I won't torture you with it. Okay. 1917. What was the original endowment of the Rotary Foundation? Yeah, a little more than that. Come on, Greg, you know this answer, right? No, sorry. Okay, remember what Diane said about RLI? There's an opportunity there. Okay, there's another one coming up in January. The point is, the original Rotary endowment, Rotary Foundation endowment, was $26.50 in 1917. Okay, and it was obviously fairly early in the life of Rotary, and since then, the Rotary Foundation has given more than $5 billion in grants, small and large, around the world, in communities, in regions, and 2 billion of that, just over 2 billion of that, has gone to the Global Eradication of Polio Initiative. That $2 billion has been matched to the tune of $10 billion. $10 billion. That 2 billion has leveraged into 10 from folks like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the World Health Organization and governments all around the world. Consider this. As recently as 1988, there were 350,000 cases annually of polio in 125 countries around the world. 1988. We don't have that in this country's DNA. We don't think of that. Some of us remember the sugar cubes, and some of us remember people in iron lungs, and some of us have maybe relatives or know folks in our family that suffering from post-polio syndrome, and we're kind of growing out of that. But in this country, we don't have an appreciation for that. It's one of the reasons why we talk about World Polio Day, which is coming up on what day? October 24th. We got some work to do here, Linda, right? So, but because, and again, some of the clubs are doing initiatives in the schools, high schools, and that sort of thing, because they just don't have an understanding of what polio is all about and what that has meant for the people who have it, and frankly, the more than 3 billion children who have been immunized against polio since that effort started. 1988, the idea to begin the process of eradicating polio started around 1979. It was one individual who thought he had the connections and the ability to work on eradicating polio in the Philippines. That effort was so successful that the idea to eradicate polio across the planet was adopted by Rotary in the early 1980s. And the president of Rotary at the time took that on, and it's been our primary, not the only, but it's been our primary effort since then. I want you to think about this because I'm going to refer back to it. The idea to eradicate polio didn't start with a committee, it didn't start with a government, it didn't start with an agency, it didn't start with a Rotary Club, it didn't start with any collection of people. The idea to eradicate polio started with one individual. And look at what we have accomplished, look at what you have accomplished in that period of time. How many cases of polio so far this year? Anyone take a guess? I wish. That's where it was back in early part of the year. We were very optimistic early on that we were going to have great success. It's 8 so far this year, 2 in Afghanistan, but 6 in Pakistan. And that has been where it has been most difficult in rooting it out. But folks, we are going to get there. This is going to be only the second disease behind smallpox that will be eradicated from the planet through the efforts of Rotary. And Rotary started that, and Rotary is going to see that through. So that is what this is all about, and that is what the foundation is all about. So I want to talk to you just a little briefly about kind of my story and why I'm here and why I'm doing this. And then I'm going to give you hopefully a couple things to think about before you leave. The district governor visit, right? Ooh, the district governor's coming. Thank you. Appreciate all that, the applause, et cetera. But I got to tell you, I've been in Rotary for 23 years. I've heard 22 other district governors come and speak to my club. This year, I get to hear myself about 75 times. That's a whole other kind of thing. But you know what? Look, it is typically something where somebody gets up, they talk about a variety of things, largely forgettable, a lot of platitudes. Everybody says, good, okay, that's done. We don't have to see the district governor again for a year. I'm just glad that you all are here today because you must have not read the bulletin. But I appreciate you showing up anyway. But it does give me an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what this means to me, and hopefully some things that you will think about, even if it's just from here to the parking lot before you go on the rest of your day, and then, my job here will be done. Been in Rotary for 23 years. I joined Rotary like a lot of people. I was new to the community. I wanted to learn network. I wanted to get to know folks. And I knew Rotary did some good things in the community, and that was some of what I wanted to do. I jumped right in. I was on the board. I participated in club activities, but I have to tell you, for many years, my view of Rotary was very myopic. I knew what was going on in my club. And I've looked back and said, I can describe that period in my Rotary life as being a member of a Rotary club, not really being a Rotarian. And briefly, the story is I've probably been in the club for 10 or 12 years. And a couple of past presidents came and tapped me on the shoulder after a meeting one day and said, John, we'd like to take you to breakfast. Anybody who's been in Rotary knows what that's all about, right? Because what's the word we don't have in our vocabulary as Rotarians? Correct. That's exactly right. So I went to breakfast, and these guys who I respect and I love them, and they said, John, do you realize that you are the longest tenured member of our club? I joined right after they chartered. That's another story I don't have time for. And they said, you're the longest tenured member of our club who's never been president. I said, you figured it out. And they said, you know, it's time to stop dodging that responsibility. So, and I, you know, I make light of it, but truly it was, you know, a privilege to be asked. And when I made that commitment, I said, you know, I really need to understand better about kind of what I'm getting myself into. And so I went to RLI and I went to all the classes. I enjoyed that first session so much, like many people do, that I wanted to get more. And I completed that process. I started going to district events. I went to assembly, I went to conference. I went to the Rotary International Convention in 2017, which was also, it was in Atlanta, which was like, I waited all these years to be president. I got to go to Atlanta. But that was, yeah, that really wasn't the point. But it was the 100th year anniversary of the foundation. It also, was anybody else in Atlanta for that convention? Great, that's fabulous. So you know what was distinctive about District 6970 at that time. Marshall Butler was the district governor. We had our conference there, which was very unusual. I don't know what poll, you know, Marshall had to get that done. But that year, District 6970 was the largest giver. We gave the most funds to the Rotary Foundation of any district in the world that year. This past year, you all collectively gave almost $900,000 to various efforts of Rotary, the foundation, the annual fund, Ukraine relief, disaster relief of other kinds, polio, obviously. So this is a generous and a very giving district. I learned more about what other clubs were doing, and I learned more about what the foundation was doing. And later in that fall, I had an opportunity to travel with a delegation from my club to Gabon in West Africa. We were working on establishing a medical clinic in a new community that was just east of the capital of Libreville. And that was fine. And many of you have had the opportunity to travel to other countries on behalf of Rotary. What was the aha moment for me? Because again, I'm still kind of new. I've been in Rotary for a long time, but I was kind of new to this whole international kind of aspect of Rotary. We visited with Rotarians. We went to a number of different clubs. We had meetings about this project that we were undertaking. And all of those meetings were held in French. But here we are halfway around the world with folks we had never met. And, you know, they didn't look necessarily like we did. And but they conducted all the meetings in French, and we were welcomed as if we were brothers and sisters that had been known all of their lives. And so even though the meetings were conducted in another language, these people we hadn't met, you know, but maybe 2 days before, we were accepted into that whole Rotary fellowship as if we were, you know, had been there all of our lives. And I was like, you know, I'm kind of on to something here. And again, kind of making it a longer story shorter, that was where things really started to kind of turn for me. I've had an opportunity to go to 4 international conventions now. I know Jacob was in Melbourne. Was anybody else in Melbourne? Okay, no. Is anybody going to Singapore? Fantastic. All right, that's awesome. We've got about 30 or so that I know from the district that are going to Singapore. That's one of those opportunities when you really start to understand kind of the worldwide aspect of Rotary. Diane talked about, I've been involved in a lot of nonprofits, almost every nonprofit in Clay County, probably not every, it's an exaggeration, but a lot of them I have been involved in. And over time, I really concentrated more of my effort on this organization for a couple of really important reasons. One is just understanding the culture and the stewardship of the funds that are given to this organization. For the 14th year consecutively now, Charity Navigator, which is an objective organization that evaluates charity and philanthropy around the world, gave the Rotary Foundation a 100% rating for the 14th year in a row. There's not many organizations that have that distinction, so that was important. The other one that was really important was understanding and having a better appreciation of the values and the commitment and the kinds of things that people that are part of this organization were trying to accomplish. And so if you think about that, when you join Rotary, we have, you know, hopefully some new members coming in, and you've brought in some new members that you talked about. There's a couple of things that we don't do when we bring you in. We don't ask you where you go to church. We don't ask you if you go to church. We don't ask you what political party you belong to. We don't ask you who you vote for. We don't ask you if you vote. We ask you a couple of really important things. The one most important thing is, Are you willing to live professionally and personally by the tenets of the four-way test? Does service above self mean something to you? Is your intention to put your effort to making the community a better place, improving your surroundings and impacting your community? It's worth reminding ourselves what the Rotary vision statement is, and that is together. We see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change in our world, in our communities, and in ourselves. It's not any more complicated than that. So in a world where we have many, many forces that are trying to focus on our differences and trying to pull us apart, Rotary, for me, is a refuge where I know when I walk in those doors, I've only got one thing that I'm worried about. There's nothing wrong with celebrating our differences. We should do that, but we do that in a positive way, and we join our it's kind of the original DNA of Rotary, where people came together with different expertise and different experiences and used those to have a positive impact on their community. So that's why I decided to invest almost exclusively at this point my time, talent, and treasure in this organization because of what it meant to me. I would challenge you by saying, if there is something, any passion that you have individually that you want to make an improvement either in this community or anywhere around the world, there is an outlet for that somewhere in Rotary. You just haven't figured out where it is yet. And, understanding and learning more about the organization will help you plug into that. I was in Rotary Club of Keystone Heights a few weeks ago, and one of their older, more mature members, who's a major donor, and he knew a lot about Rotary, came up to me and said, after we got done with this talk, and he said, my son-in-law is an Anglican priest in the western part of Uganda, and they don't have water, and kind of gave me what is a common story about having access to clean water. And I asked him, I said, is there a Rotary Club in that area? And he said, well, as a matter of fact, there is. And I said, well, you've got all the pieces in place. And that afternoon, I was able to send information to him, his club president, and his foundation chair about resources that we have in Rotary. Water projects we do all over the world. That's an easy one. But what I'm telling you is, whatever you have a passion for, there is an outlet somewhere in Rotary for that. What did I say earlier? The idea to eradicate polio started with one person. Now, I don't know that we're all going to come up with something as audacious as that. Holy cow, right? But I'm just suggesting that there is an opportunity in this organization like no other, because of the resources and because of the fellowship and because of our shared values, that we're able to make those changes. I want to talk briefly about this theme. This came from Gordon McAnally. You look back at 30 years worth of RI themes, and they all have kind of a similar kind of thing, and they're all about do-goodery generally, right? And they're all, happy and helpful and all those kinds of things. For Gordon, I had an opportunity to hear him tell this story in Melbourne, and he also told it at International Assembly earlier in the year. And the theme for him was very, very personal. I liked Jennifer's theme last year. It was great. She put a lot of thought into it. There was a lot of symbolism. It's all about John Lennon and the Beatles and all that kind of thing, and that was cool. I'm a big fan. But Gordon's is different because it came from an experience that he had in 2007. Gordon's been in Rotary for 40 years. He joined in his late 20s. And he was in Thailand in 2007. And he was there with a Rotary work team that was helping to restore and rebuild communities that had been devastated by the tsunamis that had gone through that area in 2004. And he met a woman who was a villager, someone who lived in that community that they were helping. And she wanted to present him with a gift. And this gift was a beautiful, large seashell, like a conch shell. It wasn't a conch shell, but you get the idea. It was something big. And I've seen pictures of it. It's beautiful. And she wanted to give it to him. And Gordon was like, I can't take that from you. That's too personal. And she said, no, you don't understand. Rotary is here helping us. And in 2004, when that happened, her community was completely devastated. She was wiped out, literally wiped out. She lost her home. She lost her means of making a living. She lost her community. She lost her husband. She lost her son, and she lost her daughter. She literally lost everything, except she still had that seashell. It was her only possession from that experience. And then once Gordon learned that, of course he said, could possibly accept that from you. And she said, no, Gordon, you don't understand. Rotary came in and helped us rebuild our community and restored our optimism. Rotary gave us hope when we had none. And that's where that theme came from. And you can't help but be moved by that, because that's what Rotary means. So here in the short period of time I have left, I have two questions for you. I'm not going to have time to elaborate on them, but I want you to think about a couple things as you're going to the parking lot. Why do you do this? Why are you a Rotarian? Why are you here? We all have different answers. There's lots of other organizations we could be working with. There's many that we partner with. Our friend Brent over here has a great organization that's doing amazing things in the community. But why do you do this? I told you a little bit about why I do it, but are you taking advantage and are you leveraging that commitment and an investment that you've made of time, talent, and treasure in this organization personally? Because like I said, if you've got an idea, there's somewhere in Rotary that you can help execute that idea. The second question is why are you a member of this club? Why does this club exist? I mean, it's been around for a long time, so there's obviously something going on here that's good. But you know, that whole thing about to those that much is given, much is expected. And what is the brand of this organization in this community? What are you known for? When somebody comes and walks in the door, what's their experience? And what do they know about the Rotary Club of Gainesville? It's interesting, if you've been to a developing country, the Rotary wheel is on all kinds of things. It's all over the place. It's on schools and buildings and hospitals and public toilets and all kinds of things. And the children who are there, they don't know anything about Rotary International. They don't know anything about what we do here. But what they do know is that the people who wear the Rotary pin, the people who wear the Rotary wheel, that symbol, those people are there to help them. They're there to help restore and create hope in situations where they're hopeless. And we know people everywhere. 5 miles or 5,000 miles from here, people have come to the end of their road. And we are in a unique position to help create hope for those people. So those are the two things that I'd like you to think about and take away from this, and then you can forget all that other stuff that I told you. Why are you here? What's your club going to do? I'm really very pleased to have the opportunity to spend with you. Thank you for your time and attention. I've really enjoyed getting to know Linda. Thank you, and have a great rest of your year. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, John, for being here today. And in honor of your visit, we are going to make a donation in your name to the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank here in Alachua County. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so it's always good to be reminded why we chose to become Rotarians. John made a joke, but he let you guys know we are very, very close to that $2 million total giving. And with Jay Norquist has taken on the Paul Harris role now that Kim has left. And we are going to be hearing more about our goals to try to reach that by the end of this Rotary year. Later on, we are going to have a presentation about the foundation in January, so we're looking forward to that. As far as our speaker for next week, we do have Marie and Rich Turnbull coming from the district as well. They are the Paul Harris the foundation chairs for the district, and they're going to be here to talk about World Polio Day, because that will actually be World Polio Day. So that's our speaker for next week, and I hope you'll come and learn a little bit more about what Rotary does to eradicate polio in the world. Quote of the day. We have, "Let us keep our hearts strong, enthusiasm fresh, and hope high. As long as we keep imbued in this spirit, Rotary can never die." And that's Paul Harris. And then our final piece of business, yes, that deserves a round of applause. So. And our final piece of business is the Rotary Reading Safari drawing. The number for this week is 173. 173. With that, meeting's adjourned.